All right, hello, we are back. Welcome to the Hold My Helmet Football Podcast. I'm your host, Will Reichling.
I'm your co-host, Dylan Boyle.
Dylan, welcome back. It's been a while. I went to Florida, Fort Myers Beach for a little while.
Yeah.
We are entering week 1 of the NFL season, 2024. We're back. How you feeling, baby?
I mean, for a while, I was like, oh my God, when is it going to come? When is it going to come? And then it finally came, like, oh my God, next week, football.
You sound like a kid waiting for Christmas, my friend. Quit waiting for Christmas.
So. Yeah, this might be better. Debatably.
A lot of stuff happened in the last couple of weeks before, from the last time we filmed to now. Brandon Aiyuk getting signed, CeeDee Lamb getting signed, Trent Williams getting extended earlier today. Lots of stuff.
A lot of 49er stuff. Somebody getting shot, one of their new wide receivers.
I know. It really has been a crazy offseason for San Francisco 49ers. And for a team that was just out of the Super Bowl, supposed to be the leading team for the NFC this season, the favorite to go back to the Super Bowl in the NFC. There's been a lot of drama in this offseason, for sure. A lot of
drama's right. I guess we can get right into the 49ers. It kind of blew my mind, this whole offseason I was thinking, like, okay, they're going to trade him. They're not paying him, they're going to trade him. And then last minute we hear that they signed him to what? Now he's the 5th highest paid wide receiver.
Yep.
So they gave, $30 million a year?
Brandon Aiyuk, 4 years, $120 million, $76 million guaranteed. He'll receive $47 million between now and April 1st, 2025.
Wow.
His new annual average value is $30 million. So yes, he's tied for 5th. So all four receivers above him on the highest paid charts signed their extensions earlier this offseason. Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm not going to go into them all. A.J. Brown, I think, is one of them. I forgot the last one. CeeDee Lamb. Well, now it's CeeDee Lamb. So yes, all the ones before him, ahead of them, signed all this. So 5 receivers signed extensions this offseason. Crazy number. Wide receivers become a valuable position. Do you think it's that valuable?
Absolutely. That's your bread and butter. This is why I'm a little low on the Bills. You get ready to be your star player. Who do you really got back there?
Yeah, well, that's a whole thing we'll get into later. They drafted Keon Coleman. They signed a bunch of B's and C's, like Curtis Samuel, and they do have Shakir, who's okay. But we'll get into that later. Let's start with Jets-Niners. We're going to get into our Week 1 predictions. We'll start now. Jets-Niners. Brandon Aiyuk getting extended. Okay, that's fine. Ricky Pearsall getting shot earlier this week. And what was it? A attempted robbery in central San Francisco.
Oh my God!
He's released from the hospital. Thank God, he's going to be okay. But he was placed on the reserve non-football injury list, so he's going to miss the first 4 games at minimum. So you're down a receiver. Hopes and prayers go out to the Pearsall family. I'm glad he's okay. But you are down a receiver now. Yeah. Thank God you got the Aiyuk signed, because imagine you were just going out there with Debo and Jawan Jennings. So this is very huge to get Aiyuk signed this week. Weird situation. The last video I put out was him almost going to the Steelers, saying that he was going to regret that, saying that the best thing was for him and the Niners to reach a deal, and they have now. So that's huge. Trent Williams. I wrote my notes today saying they're not going to have Trent Williams. It's going to be a big problem for them, because although they got Brandon Aiyuk signed, Trent Williams is the most important player on that team, other than maybe McCaffrey. The best left tackle in the league. One of the best left tackles in NFL history. He was holding out. He sat out, I don't know if you remember this, Dylan, but Trent Williams sat out a full season one time, so he would have done it again. The fact that they got him extended and playing week 1 is huge, okay?
Yeah,
that's huge.
I feel like they're just playing games with him at this point. Both these guys, they waited till very last minute to give them their extension or contract, and it just, why?
That's a good question. Why? Brandon Aiyuk, I think there were legit reasons. Do you think that he deserves to be the 5th highest player in the NFL right now? Do you think he's the 5th best receiver?
With the team that they have, no. But in all honesty, I don't think, if there's, take one out, put one in, I think they should have got rid of Debo and keep Aiyuk. I
agree, but they signed Debo 2 years ago.
That's not realistic.
Exactly.
So that's kind of out of the question. But
hindsight's always 20/20. I'm sure if they could go back, they would have paid Aiyuk and gotten rid of Debo Samuel. But you are where you are now.
And if all these other teams that are elite level all have two 1-2s,
A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. Absolutely understand what you're
saying. Besides if you're the Chiefs, but that's that's another.
But even they added receivers: Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy. They're even geared up.
A bunch of 2s and 3s. They do it a different way. Yes. But most of these teams have a 1-2.
Now with Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers offense, they're run first. Christian McCaffrey. Don't forget they do have George Kittle too. So there's Debo, there's McCaffrey, George Kittle too. Now you bring Aiyuk back. Yes. Now you bring Aiyuk back. That's huge for them. That's huge. But I think the more important thing out of Aiyuk and Trent Williams is getting Trent Williams in the building. That's the best left tackle in the league. If you look at the 49ers offensive line without Trent Williams, it's not a good offensive line. He kind of makes that offensive line slightly above average just because he's the best left tackle in the league.
For sure.
Without Trent Williams, that Jets pass rush would have given them issues. Now, speaking of the Jets.
Especially with somebody like Brock Purdy that's not too mobile.
Exactly. Well, Purdy's
mobile.
Not like Lamar. Not like
exactly.
Lamar. Now, speaking of the Jets, though, I just said how, Trent Williams was out. The Jets pass rush would have killed them. But would they? Because Hassan Reddick is still holding out. He actually might not. Really might not play week 1. I'm worried about that as a Jets fan. I got the Jets stuff above me. I'm cautiously optimistic going into the season. But you trade for a guy in Hassan Reddick who only wanted out of the Eagles because he wanted a contract extension. Mm-hmm. Apparently, you worked something out with him verbally, saying that he was going to play this season. Whether that's true or not, I don't care. You trade for a guy that was unhappy with the contract, thinking that he was going to be fine with you with the same contract. That's a little naive, don't you think? That he's not okay with them paying him that money, but he's going to be okay with you paying him that money. Don't you think that's a little naive?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, so,
I think he just had different expectations coming into the building, but either way or not, it's not a good first look.
Apparently, the Jets claim that they talked to Reddick and the agent, and they agreed that he was going to play this season without looking for a new deal. Reddick must think otherwise. You never know the truth in these situations. We're not there with them. What do you think actually happened, though? Do you think the Jets are right or Reddick's right here? It's just a shit show. I know, but
it's a he say, she say type situation.
Pretty much.
I mean, he really does have the upper hand because he just won't play. I mean, at the end of the day, he's going to be paying for it. He's a penalty for every time he misses a game, so...
And he, missed a bunch of money in the offseason for missing practice.
So I think it's beyond money. I think he's just being petty at this point. It seems like
now he's going to miss game checks. And anyone that wants a new contract, they need to go out there and play. Because a full season of we saw what it did to Le'Veon Bell. We saw what it did to a lot of players that sat out for a full season and they come back and they're not the same. So that's not... You should not be in the business of doing that. Deshaun Watson, a lot of people sit out for a full season and they come back and they're never the same. So if you're Hassan Reddick, you want to go out there and play. He should be in the business of playing right now. But... I was actually going into the day before this whole Trent Williams extension saying, I've never seen a team in week 1 with both a tackle on one team and a pass rusher on another team, both holding out week 1. The best tackle on the team and the best pass rusher on the team, both holding out for their opposing games in week 1.
Funny, yeah.
There's about to be that would have been an interesting situation. We've had the best lineman, the best pass rusher on both teams just not playing. So it would have created, I guess, an even keel.
Even, right?
I don't think that's ever happened in NFL history. Now it won't because Trent Williams is going to play. But it would have been very interesting. Now that Trent Williams is going to play, I'm going to give my pick right here. I'm going to go 49ers. I love the Jets. I'm a Jets fan. But I think it's just tough for Aaron Rodgers to come back off the injury on the road, Monday Night Football in San Francisco, an NFC powerhouse. This is going to be tough for the Jets.
This is his true debut on the Jets.
Right, exactly. And I was there last year against Buffalo. But this is it. He's not going to tear his Achilles again. Let's be honest.
I mean,
let's be honest. He's not going to.
He's not at MetLife Stadium where they, you got to worry about the turf.
Yeah. The turf, seriously. That's really a problem. We'll talk about that another day. I know we've had conversations about that in the past in this podcast, but I think the Jets are going to stay in this. They have a great defense. Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, blah, 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 blah. We talk about this all day. Mm-hmm. But I think that the Niners' offensive star power is going to kind of carry in this game. And Trent Williams being there is going to be huge. And the Jets don't really, other than Quinn Williams, I like Jermaine Johnson. I like Will McDonald. But a lot of unproven guys in that D-line without Hassan Reddick. So
that offense is just a powerhouse, and it's going to be hard to stop.
They don't call them the Avengers for no reason. So I go Niners. Who do you got?
I go Niners here, too. It's their favorite, and I really don't blame them, except 49ers are home. Come on. How could he not?
So
listen, I think the Jets are going to come into this, and they're going to give it a good show. I don't think it's going to be more than a 2-touchdown difference.
I hope it's less than that. As being a Jets fan, I don't want to get blown out by 2 touchdowns. I think it stays within 10, but I'll give it to the Niners here. Look, Trent Williams is going to be playing. He might be a little rusty, but he's one of the most athletic left tackles in NFL history. And the Jets don't have the Hassan Reddick. And I know the Niners went through a lot of shit this offseason. Someone getting shot, Aiyuk contract arguments.
A lot of turmoil. Yeah.
Trent Williams, McCaffrey at one point was disgruntled until they paid him. So
and he does have what is it? He has something with his calf that he's
technically he's questionable for week 1. He'll play.
That can always come around to be an Achilles injury too.
Let's not forget on the Panthers. he was very injury prone. Remember at one point we were like, this guy's done.
I don't know. He was just too good last year. I feel like something's going to be creeping up soon.
Dylan picked him number 1 in our fantasy draft, and I thought he was stupid for that, and then ended up being a genius pick. I would have went Justin Jefferson.
And listen, I wouldn't do it again this year. I mean, I've told him before, nobody repeats history like that. He had one of his best years last year, and no injuries, no games out. I feel like it's gonna be coming around soon.
I would think it's smart to say that. I picked 3rd, and I picked Tyreek Hill, and I felt like I was pretty glad there. I was between Tyreek and CD. That was my 2 options at number 3. They both were still there. I feel a little cautious about that because I think Tyreek had an insane season too. Can he replicate that? CD Lamb's the only good receiver in Dallas. Tyreek Hill has to share with
Tyreek just got his
Waddle.
extension though.
That's true. He's happy.
Whenever they get their money, I feel like that's when they really ball out.
That's true. Also contract year when they want to get that money. But good point. Good point.
Good point, right?
Let's go to the first game of the season. Ravens at Chiefs, AFC Championship game rematch.
The revenge game.
I've been hearing that thrown out there. Lamar's kind of brushing it off. Do you think this is a revenge game, or do you think the Ravens get revenge though? Chiefs are home here.
Yes, absolutely.
Who's the favorites here? Chiefs?
The Chiefs are the favorite by -3.
Okay.
So by 3 points. I think the Ravens take this.
Really?
Chiefs, I love them, but there has to be some sort of Super Bowl hangover. Like they can't just come in here and just start swinging again like they're in the Super Bowl.
See, I feel like last year was kind of the Super Bowl hangover, and then they got to go in the playoffs.
They started off very lackluster, and that's how I feel like they're going to start again. They're going to start out the first couple games. They're going to look a little slow. We're going to be like, oh, is this the same Chiefs? Are they going to make it back to the playoffs? And then they're going to pick things up in the offseason and in the postseason and towards the end of the season. So I think the Ravens, especially the Ravens, they're in a conference where it's just so powerhouse, and they want to make it back to the championship, and they're going to want revenge.
So this is tough for me too because I really want to say I love Lamar Jackson. I really want to say the Ravens get revenge here, but I love what the Chiefs did this offseason, adding to their wide receiver room. They added Hollywood Brown, they had Xavier Worthy, they added speed to that offense. I like it.
And the key thing, they got rid of Kadarius Toney. Kadarius.
Yeah, they got rid of Kadarius Toney. I mean, that's a kind of minor move. But yeah, the addition of Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, that elite defense. Look, they have an elite defense, the best head coach in the league, the best quarterback in the league, and an improved wide receiver room. I'm going to take Chiefs here. I love what the late Ravens are doing. They're going to want revenge too. They add Derrick Henry, all that. But I love what the Chiefs did. They won a Super Bowl and they improved their roster. They have a top defense. McDuffie over there, Karlaftis, Chris Jones. And let's remember, week 1 last season, the Chiefs lost to the Lions 20-19. Chris Jones was sitting in the stands. Chris Jones will be playing today. Well, not today. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Well, actually 2 days from now. It's Tuesday while we're filming. So Thursday, Chris Jones will be playing. I just realized the Chiefs are opening up 2 seasons in a row. Well, I guess the champion 2 seasons in a row. But anyway, I'm going to go Chiefs here. I get you're going Ravens. Chiefs are home. Arrowhead's a big home field advantage.
It is.
I like the Chiefs. The Chiefs have the edge in the most important position, so I'm going to go Chiefs here.
Okay.
Let's move on. Sunday Night Football, a rematch of the playoff game last season.
A lot of rematches going
Rams
on.
Lions, Stafford Goff, the trade, all over again. Stafford versus Goff. Who do you got?
That's why I'm taking the Lions.
I'm gonna have to go the Rams.
You're gonna have to go the Rams.
Yeah. Why do you got the Lions?
I mean, no particular reason. I feel like every time these two go together, it's gonna be a close game.
It was a great game in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
For sure.
It could really go either way. I can't believe it's a 3.5 point spread. That's a little. It should be like a 2 or 1 point spread. I mean, obviously the Rams have been coming off. What they made it to the playoffs. They have a lot of momentum coming in.
Oh yeah, the Lions are Super Bowl contenders this year for sure. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. I mean, I'm not weighing one more than the other, but I feel like the Lions have the edge a little bit.
Well, I understand because the Lions won the playoff game last season, but like I said in the playoff game last season, I'll say it again, I think Stafford's the better quarterback than Goff. I saw it in that playoff game. I know the Lions won, but Stafford's making some wicked throws, third down, getting hit, sidearm throw for the first down. I really like Matt Stafford. He might not be. Some people have him as a top 5 quarterback. I don't really have him there. He's a top 10 for sure with the talent he has. And look, I think Sean McVay is a better head coach than Dan Campbell. I love Dan Campbell. He's a motivator. He's a leader. But Sean McVay is an offensive fucking genius. Let's be honest here. And the Rams, in my opinion, the Lions improved their defense, but I think the Rams have the better defense. They have a bunch of young studs on defense, and they only added to it. And both offensive weapons are really good. Look, the Lions have Gibbs, Laporta, Amon-Ra, St. Brown. They have weapons, but I do think
it comes down to the quarterback and coaching.
Well, I do think the Los Angeles Rams have the better weapons. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams had a huge season last year. Don't forget about Tyler Higbee. I actually think the Rams have better weapons. It's very close, but I'm going to give the slight to the Rams.
Without quarterbacks, I don't know. I feel like the edge is more towards the Lions.
I can't.
I feel like Cooper Kupp is kind of getting into his wash.
That's a debatable point. Yeah. So I can't say you're crazy for saying the Lions have the better talent on offense. I think it's very close. I'm going to go with the Rams talent over the Lions talent.
And I don't know his name, but they got another stud in the late rounds, another wide receiver that's been going off in the preseason.
The Lions?
Yeah. No, the Rams.
They did.
Yes.
Interesting.
They got another guy out there. I don't know his name, but I saw him in the preseason. He was looking really good.
I don't know his name either, so I guess
we'll find out. We're going to find out. It's going to be another Puka Nacua.
Look, last year, you remember we were watching at your house week 1, and I remember looking at the screen and seeing Puka Nacua with 13 catches or some shit like that. I'm like, who the fuck is Puka Nacua with 13 catches? And the guy was one of the best receivers in the league. Quick question, though.
Good draft.
I do think the Rams do have the better talent going into the season with what happened last year and everything. But do you think it's possible with the big year Puka Nacua had like, 5th round pick, will he fall off a little bit? Like he was a 5th round pick. He wasn't that highly talented at the draft. What do you think? It was like a fluke kind of situation where the Rams didn't really have much talent. Cooper Kupp was hurt, and Stafford kind of carried the load with Puka Nacua. Do you think?
I completely disagree with that.
I'm not saying I do.
No, I know.
I'm not saying I do agree with that. I'm just throwing that out there.
No, but I think I've watched. I think like I watched a highlight reel of all his catches, not all of them, but like all the big catches, and they were talented catches. They weren't just like him just being wide open. He got the ball, he like sideline catches, toe taps, diving catches,
being aggressive too over the middle, making catches over 2 defenders. I actually have to agree with that. He's actually a better route runner than people think.
And towards the end, even when Cooper Kupp came back, he was still holding his role.
He was. I gotta give you that. Look, I just see with someone like that, it kind of comes over out of nowhere. Another guy that scares me like that, Kyron Williams. He was a 5th round pick 2 years ago. Kind of came out of the scene out of nowhere. Was it kind of a fluke situation? Will Kyron Williams replicate that again? These are all questions to ask about people that kind of come out of nowhere like this. But we're split in that. I think most of America is going to be split in that game. Lions won the playoffs, so I can't necessarily say that I disagree with you, my friend. So let's move on to the Friday game. Yeah, Friday game, Brazil. I almost said Brazil. Friday game, Brazil, Packers, Eagles. Eagles are technically home, even though, what the fuck is home there? Who are you going to pick, man?
That one, I'm picking the Packers.
Okay. So for me, it's tough.
It was tough.
If you remember the NFC predictions I did when we did that episode, I had the Eagles as the 1st seed and the Packers at the 2nd seed. So this is hard for me because I think these will be the 2 best teams in the NFC. So this is very tough for me. But I'm going to have to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think both teams made moves to address their defense in the offseason. But, I do think, again, A.J. Dillon was recently placed on IR out for the season. I don't think that's as huge as a blow as people think because they got Josh Jacobs. Matt LaFleur knows how to run the ball no matter who the running back is. But I do think the Eagles, with their change of coordinators, Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio, 2 of the best coordinators in the game, especially Vic Fangio on defense. That guy knows how to call a defense. And they were a shit show on defense last year. They drafted 2 corners. They still got Slay back there, too, who's also a pretty good corner. Just had kind of a down season, kind of injury, getting a little older.
Will he pick it back up?
I do think the Eagles are going to be good. They have too much talent not to be good this season. I do think Jalen Hurts slightly bounced back. I love Jordan Love. He actually might be my dark horse MVP candidate, but I think here in week 1, I was going to say Eagles at home, but Eagles aren't home. But I do think here week 1, Eagles do edge out the Packers here. It was tough. This was the one game that took me to the wire to figure out my decision on this pick. So it was tough, but I got to go Eagles here.
Yeah, I feel like a situation like this, the Eagles they still just got to figure out what their identity is. They added a lot of pieces. They got rid of Jason Kelsey.
You love that guy. Yeah, you always bring him up every time we talk.
He was
the best.
He was
one of the best
epitome.
He was one of the best
push, and he was.
Yeah, he was one of the best centers of all time. I mean,
and it blows my mind. And they got Saquon Barkley back there. They got a bunch of new cornerbacks. So I feel like a team like this is still they did a lot in the offseason, and it needs time to all gel together, you know. And the Packers, they already got it all figured out. And Jordan Love has a lot of momentum from last year, and I think he's just going to keep it rolling.
If we're talking about momentum, the Packers are momentum riding high. Eagles are at the lowest of lows. They lost to the Bucs in the playoffs, lost to the Giants week 18, I'm pretty sure, playing all their starters, too, if you don't remember that.
Oh, I remember that.
So, I
Very
mean,
vividly.
I get what you're saying, but I think they kind of corrected everything in the offseason. The one thing that kind of worries me, though, is I heard a report that Jalen Hurts doesn't really respect Nick Sirianni, like, offensively. The guy came from the Colts as an offensive guy. When he started there, 2021, they started off, it wasn't well. They weren't playing well, and he was calling the plays. And then he handed the plays off to Shane Steichen, the Colts head coach now. Jalen Hurts went on a huge run. They went to the playoffs. Jalen Hurts was effective. Next season, Shane Steichen still calling plays. Jalen Hurts wins MVP. A.J. Brown, huge season. Devontae Smith, huge season. Make the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, big game in the Super Bowl. Then Shane Steichen goes to the Colts. All of a sudden, now last year, they're not the same again. Shane Steichen, I mean, if anything, is an indictment on Shane Steichen, how good of this guy is as an offensive play caller. So if anything, behind the Colts this year. But besides the point. Can Nick Sirianni call plays? What does he do there exactly? Because they hired Kellen Moore as the OC. This guy came in as an offensive play caller. Can't even fucking call his own plays. So what does he do there?
And his attitude in the building.
Right.
I just
see the way he acts. Yeah.
Arguing
yelling
with
at
everyone,
fans. Yeah. Like, I don't know, man. All I do know is that he has won since being there as a head coach, so I can't knock him yet. But does he have value there? Mm-hmm. So I do think the talent on this team trumps that. So I do think they're a playoff team, but if they're a first round now again, watch out for Bill Belichick on the Eagles. I'm just gonna put that out there. You know, they got all the pieces in place. Bill Belichick going out there, putting his name out there in the media for teams.
I mean, there are a few teams that he could easily go to, and it would be a perfect fit.
I would rule out your Giants, man, because I think Dable's gonna hold on to the job. So I know you're thinking that.
It matters how he wraps up this season.
Unless they go 2-15, and they are like incompetent. I would take Dable on the Jets. Look, we have Saleh. He's okay, I guess. He knows defense. But Dable's a smart offensive guy. He won in Alabama with Baker. Not Baker. He won in Alabama with Jalen Hurts and Tua. Won in Buffalo with Josh Allen. The guy knows how to call offense. He was with the Jets with Brett Favre. The guy knows offense. So, anyways, don't mean to sidetrack here. So, you got Packers, I got Eagles. Let's just keep moving on before we got on a whole tangent on the Giants.
I have Packers, and you have
Did Packers. I say backwards? I have Packers. Sorry. Yeah. I have Eagles, you have Packers. I mean, we're split. That one took me for a while to figure out, but my heart was saying Eagles just because of the talent on that team. And they added a lot of pieces. And the coordinators are really good. So, let's go to some of the Sunday games. Let's start with Cowboys-Browns. Two pretty good teams last year. Both made the playoffs. You know, Browns had a huge year with Joe Flacco. Deshaun Watson coming back now. Mm-hmm. Deshaun Watson's back in business.
I mean, he was back last year, but...
That's what I mean. Remember last year how I was kind of high on him before the season started? Mm-hmm. Like, this guy was elite in Houston. And then he was kind of shaky. Then he had a really good half against Baltimore. Then he was out for the season. So,
but then towards the end of the season, didn't they just take him out?
Well, do you remember that one game where he was cleared to play, but he didn't play? Exactly, he chose not to play, and then he was out for the season after that. So I don't know. Was the shoulder bothering him a lot?
And they were still in contention. They were still.
Well, I mean, they made the playoffs. So.
Exactly. That's what I'm.
I think
still haven't figured out what
a lot of it's
there.
mental with him too. I feel like I see some of the throws he makes. He's inaccurate. But then remember that second half against the Ravens where he was like, you saw some of those flashes of the Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson. They won in overtime. Then. 2 weeks later, he's out for the season. So you don't really know with this guy. But CeeDee Lamb signs a 4-year extension worth $136 million. Will receive $100 million guaranteed. $8 million signing bonus.
So what about the other two?
His average annual is $34 million per year. So he's coming in just behind Justin Jefferson, second highest paid player.
I mean, he should.
Well, he said CeeDee Lamb should probably be the first one paid out of those three.
And he was. So it really just comes down to if Dak earns it or not.
Well, we're about to go into week 1, so it looks like Dak's going to play this season out in the final year of his contract. What quarterback do you know who was runner-up to MVP last season, put up 30-plus touchdowns a year, leading his team to 12-plus wins 3 seasons in a row, that is about to hit the final year of his contract? That's going to be an unrestricted free agent. Lamar Jackson was an unrestricted free agent. Let's don't forget that. He was franchise tagged. He had a couple of years left in his contract. Dak Prescott's about to be an unrestricted free agent. He has a clause.
They can't franchise tag
Nope,
him?
he has a clause in his contract. They cannot franchise tag him.
Wow.
They're going to let him walk. Or they're going to pay him $65+ million fucking dollars. So, I mean, is Dak Prescott worth $65 million plus fucking dollars? I mean, what do you think? No, I don't. I mean, look, I've been on both sides of the fence with Dak.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think he is.
I guess we'll see this year. But go on.
He hasn't won more than one playoff game.
Right.
So how can he expect to pay a guy that doesn't even win more than one playoff game?
But he gets you to the playoffs every year. He wins you the divisions, you know. He wins you 12 games.
Does he win you big games?
That's true.
Sometimes.
That's true. But, you know, remember, Eli Manning got hot twice. The Ravens don't have a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco. Is it possible for Dak to get hot at the right time? I do think it could happen because Dak has gotten hot for periods of stretches in his career. So I do think it's possible.
Just don't put him up against Jordan Love, I guess.
Well, it's going to be worth it. It's going to come down to this season pretty much. So let's start with week 1. You got two quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, who have immense pressure on them. Immense pressure to get off to fast starts. Immense pressure to win week 1. Who do you got?
I'm back and forth. Even right now, I'm back and forth. Like, I look at my pick and I'm like, oh, do I think that? I'm going Browns, though. They just have more talent on their team, defense-wise as well. And I just don't trust Dak. I just don't trust him.
I'm going to agree with everything you said there. I'm going to go Cleveland. They're home. They got a great defense. Dallas isn't as good as they were last season. Deshaun Watson, I'm going to say, I said this at the beginning of last season. I'm going to say it at the beginning of this season again. If Deshaun Watson can be 60 to 70, just 70% of what he used to be, the Browns are going to be a good team. The Browns will be a good team. I didn't have them in my playoffs, but I think I had them at 9-8. So the Browns are going to be a solid team. And look,
they have a much harder conference.
Yeah, they do. But they still have pretty much all of their defensive pieces. So they've Denzel Ward, Myles Garrett. They still brought
and
back.
They were an elite defense last year.
They were the best defense in the league, let's be honest. So we're both going to go Cleveland there. Mm-hmm. That's going to be tough for Dallas to start 0-1, but, you know.
I mean, they had a much easier start last year against the Giants with like the 40-something to nothing.
I forgot about that game. Oh my God.
It still haunts me.
Anyway, so I think we agree on that so we can move on. Steelers at Falcons. This one's interesting, Dylan, because it might not sound interesting at first. You're like, oh, Steelers kind of boring, no quarterback. Falcons kind of boring. Who cares about the Falcons? But you got the whole shit show of two stories on two different teams. You got the two quarterback situation on Pittsburgh. You got the two quarterback situation on Atlanta.
It's very interesting. And you know what shocks me? Falcons are favored in this. And I don't think they should be.
I think it might be because they're home.
By 3 points.
And also, who do you trust more, Russell Wilson or Kirk Cousins?
Kirk's coming off for injury, though.
I understand.
But Russell Wilson did not look good in the preseason.
No, he didn't. And neither did Justin Fields.
Justin Fields is not playing. Let's put that out
but
there.
I do think
he's not playing until like mid-season, until they're completely playing terrible and they, you know.
I do think they were a better shot with Justin Fields.
I do. I agree with that. But it's redemption time for us.
So you got Steelers?
Yeah, I got Steelers on this one.
I'm going to go Atlanta because I do think the defense is really underrated. AJ Terrell. They got Jesse Bates III back there. They have
Bijan. Can't forget Bijan.
Well, Bijan, I do think Bijan's a little overrated, but I think the defense is underrated, though. I think they got a great secondary. They got some pass rushers there. And I do think, I'm just not crazy about the Steelers' offense with Russell Wilson. He's a dink and dunk guy. He just seems like he can't ad-lib like he used to. And I'm not crazy about Pittsburgh this year.
Let's remember last year and what this team was. They won most of their games just by getting by on offense, and their defense was completely carrying. Now you have a competent quarterback back there. I don't know. I just feel like he should be able to get it done.
You make a good argument, but you have to remember that it's not just about, oh, your roster's better, you're going to be better this season, because you got to remember the schedule. Now, the schedule is different this season because, yes, you're playing the same division, but that division's tougher. Why? Joe Burrow's back. Deshaun Watson's back. So you got a little bit of a tougher schedule this season. If you look at the schedule with the Steelers, I think they're going to struggle. If you look at the back end of that schedule, it's kind of a gauntlet at the end. So, I mean,
it's crazy because Joe Burrow being back is my argument for a lot of points.
Well, it changes a lot of the landscape.
It does. It really does.
It changed a lot of the landscape in the AFC. So, I'm going to go Falcons here. I'm not crazy about
the
this.
Texans, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But now that the Texans are like this fucking holy team, you know. It's like to watch out for.
We'll get into that in a little bit because I do think they're good, but I do think they're also like I think they're gonna have some slight setbacks this year. But we'll get into that in a little bit. So okay, we're in that disagreement there. Jaguars, Dolphins.
Okay.
We got Miami at home in September. Who do you got?
I haven't been crazy about the Jaguars since last season. Like mid last season, I'm like, oh, these guys don't look good. And you know how the Dolphins play in the nice hot weather in Miami. Tyreek just got his contract extension. Yeah, I'm going Dolphins here.
Last 2 seasons, you look at the Dolphins in September and October, they're like one of the best teams in the league. They, for some reason, in Miami, at home, earlier in the season, they're just an elite team. When it gets a little colder and they go on the road, not so much. But starting here, I know the Jaguars are also a Florida team, fine, whatever. But it's September in Miami. The Dolphins always start off hot. I do think the Jaguars lost some pieces on defense. Now, Trevor Lawrence might have added some pieces in the offense, but their defense, they lost Darius Williams in the secondary. So, I'm going to go with Dolphins here. Slight edge. This is going to be a close game, but I do think the Dolphins and Tua specifically starts off pretty hot early on in season. So, I'm going to go Miami here.
I mean, it kind of sucks because Trevor Lawrence doesn't have anything to play for. He just got his contract. He can go out there and throw 5 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, and it won't even matter.
No, yeah.
That's why I don't agree with this contract. They should have gave him a year. He did not deserve it. The way that he played last year.
I don't know why they.
He doesn't have a.
And people's argument was like, oh, well, if you wait another year, you're going to have to pay him $5 more million per year.
Or you don't pay him at all.
I would rather pay him the $5 more million per year if he goes out there with those 40 touchdowns. I would feel great about that.
Exactly.
Fuck it, I'll pay you $60 million. I would love to pay more just to feel good about it. I'm sure the owner and the GM aren't feeling too good about it right now. But I do think Trevor Lawrence does have a chance to bounce back this season. I think they had him as the 7th seed, barely squeaking in the playoffs. I don't think
you're pretty high on them.
I'm not high. I just think that Trevor Lawrence is better than people. I think he's better than people are making him out to be. I don't think he's like a bottom 5 quarterback in the league. I think he's a top 6. I have him at 16. I think he should be higher, but he's not. But some people have him lower than that. But I think 16 is about where Trevor Lawrence has been so far in his career. He's been right in the middle. He's been an average quarterback.
Yeah, you're right. He was going toe to toe with Derek Carr.
Well, don't forget, they were winning by 2 touchdowns in the game, and then the Saints slowed came back, but they were They were 8-3 before he got hurt.
Listen, no, they the way they ended was completely fine. 8-9, that's not a terrible record.
Well, they were 9-8.
9-8.
But they were 8-3. They ended 1-5. That's what
that is true.
That's what they did him in. But just don't forget, Trevor Lawrence got hurt. Look, we both got Miami here. What are we doing?
No, I know, but it's good to see.
It's good to give it a little bit of banter.
Yeah.
Let's move. This one's probably more important though for implications on divisions. To end Week 17 last year, Texans, Colts. Mm-hmm. Remember that drop pass on 4th down to end the game for the Colts? Colts could have been in the playoffs, but the Texans made it instead. Now we're talking about the Texans like Super Bowl contenders. Texans go into Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson coming back. A lot of people are high on him. A lot of people don't know about him. Can he stay healthy for a full season with the way he plays? Can CJ Stroud emulate what he did last year? You're bringing Stephon Diggs. You're bringing Joe Mixon. You're bringing a lot of pieces. You bring in Danielle Hunter on defense. They brought in pieces to win a Super Bowl now. Do you think the Texans can go all the way? We'll talk about that another day. What about this game? Texans-Colts.
I honestly feel like the Texans are the best team in the division by miles. By miles. I mean, obviously the Colts still have a lot to prove. I haven't seen enough with Anthony Richardson. I love him. I loved what I saw from him. But then he got hurt. So I haven't seen enough from him to say, wow, he can go toe-to-toe with CJ Stroud. I don't know, but I saw CJ Stroud. I saw him in the playoffs. He plays a hell of a game. We got Stephon Diggs on that team. Hopefully it doesn't cause any controversy, him getting angry about the ball. Besides the point, they got a lot of talent on that team, and they proved it last year. So, I mean, this should be an easy win for them, honestly.
You bring Tank Dell back to you from injury.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't know what Anthony Richardson is going to be this season. I don't necessarily trust him yet. He showed flashes of promise last season, but he got hurt. 2 serious injuries in 4 games. Can he stay healthy for a full season? I don't know. Yeah. Can he be effective from the pocket and accurate for a full game? I don't know that yet. I know CJ Stroud can. I know CJ Stroud's good. I know DeMeco Ryans is good. I know they improved their roster. I think the Texans are also the best team in the division. I got Texans here.
Listen, I can see them completely sweeping the division. Besides one or two losses.
I think Jacksonville's better than you think, though. You're giving Jacksonville a little bit. They have some good pieces. They
disappoint me, honestly.
I
but
know.
if you look at the conference, they are the bottom tier.
Yes, of the South, but they were better than people thought last year, going into last year. You know, the South, people thought that was terrible, and you had 3 teams that had winning records. So, we all know the Titans suck. But the other 3 teams, they all could possibly win. Maybe the Colts more than the Jaguars, but like you got 3 teams that could possibly win the division. Look, I don't think it's impossible that the Texans take a slight step back. Teams have a season of film on CJ Stroud, an off-season film. They know his tendencies now. They know his strengths. They know his weaknesses. They can kind of gear back, dial back. You're gonna have expectations from Stephon Diggs getting the ball. There's gonna be a lot of pressure on you. You're no longer the hunting. You're the hunted. Teams are coming after your neck. So. They're still going to be good. I think I have them going 11-6 win the division. But they might be a first-round exit. I know people are going to be crazy with me saying that, but they're going to think I'm crazy for saying that. But
they're going to think you're very crazy for saying that. I think you're crazy for saying that.
I don't understand why, though. This AFC is stacked. The Bengals are coming back. With Joe Burrow healthy, like you said, it leads to a lot of points here. Joe Burrow being healthy, Lamar Jackson being MVP. You got Mahomes. I think Josh Allen's going to take a slight step back this year.
Those are 3 powerhouses that kind of blow you away.
True. Yes. And I don't know. Look, they're going to win the division. They're going to win the division. They didn't beat in the playoffs. But they might go up against,
a good team, yeah.
A Ravens in the first round. A Jets. I mean, I'm not going to go with Jets. We don't know how Jets are going to be yet. But, like, the Ravens in the first round.
That would be a good game. Texans,
The
Jets.
Bengals in the first round. One of those teams are going to need a wild card. Ravens or Bengals. They might go against the Texans. So, I mean, just remember that. The Texans might be a first round one and done. Let's go into your Giants. Vikings at the New York Giants.
Oof.
Yeah, Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
What do you think?
This is a great start for him. Let's just put that out there. Against a defense, the secondary is not too crazy, but he's gonna be facing a lot of controversy. He's gonna face a lot of pressure from that line. You got Kayvon Thibodeau, you have Dexter Lawrence coming at you, got Brian Burns. So this is gonna be the real telling story with Sam Darnold. And I'm a little excited to see, even though it's against my Giants, I'm excited to see what he's got and see if he can make a season out of what they got.
The Giants probably have a top 5 front 7 in the league as far as pass rush now, with adding Brian Burns, Thibodeau coming on. Technically, I think they're both linebackers, but then you got the D tackle Dexter Lawrence. The defense is not the problem; it's the offense, and I do think Sam Darnold. It's tough because I don't think Sam Darnold's going to be the answer for the Vikings this season, but I do think he's athletic.
You think he's going to be able to be a good replacement?
I think it's going to be a Niners situation where he's got all this talent around him: Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron. Now they got Aaron Jones.
It's going to be hard not to go off.
Think about the Vikings' talent on offense: Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, Aaron Jones. They're fucking pretty stacked, man. So it's going to be tough for the Giants. They have a good defense, but that secondary is unproven. So I think the Vikings are going to have a little bit of Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson might have a little bit of a field day. I'm going to go Vikings.
The only thing that I'm not crazy about, I get what you're saying with you. They have a lot of talent around that. Look at the Jets, though. Look at last season. Look what they were able to do with a bunch of backups. They weren't able to do much. You had Breece Hall. You got Garrett Wilson.
And they won 7 games with no quarterback. You got to remember that. They went 7-10 with no quarterback.
Some games they were just completely not there.
And their defense kept them in it, though. That's the thing. But, okay, I get what you're saying. With no quarterback, you're not going to go far. I don't think the Vikings are probably going to win 5 games this season. But can they beat the Giants? I think so.
You think so?
So what are you going?
I'm going Giants. Yeah, I got to go. Malik Neighbors, he's going to have himself a field day.
My dude. I'll give you this.
This is the year for Daniel Jones to make a case for himself.
I'll give you this. This is, as being a Giants fan, this is a winnable game for you. You got a Vikings team who has
We destroyed them in the playoffs.
Exactly. And this is a worse Vikings team than when you destroy them in the playoffs. You have a Vikings team where Sam Darnold, who's a guy that, has been bouncing around the league, a turnover machine, a defense that Daniel Jones torched a couple seasons ago in the playoffs. You got Jordan Addison, who got a DWI, who's been a shit show in the offseason. Justin Jefferson coming off an injury. Well, he's been off the injury. Don't gotta worry about Justin Jefferson. Aaron Jones is always injured. That's another one. So this is a win. If the Giants are going to win some games this year, I got them going 1-16. This is a winnable game here for the Giants.
This is the game for them, and I feel like they should come out here and
right. Because let's be honest, the Giants
get a step ahead of
the Giants' max wins this season. I mean, There's a scenario we might go 8-9, you're competitive, but there's also a scenario we go 3-14. This is one of those wins where you got to go out there and get this win.
100%.
Because you can win this game. I'm not shocked I wouldn't be shocked if the Giants win this game at all. I'm going to go Minnesota. They have more talent.
And this
on the
is
team.
another team that I just wasn't happy with in the preseason either. Obviously, everyone saw the picks he was throwing. Now, how disgusting they looked.
Well, the one in the end zone was just stupid. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. But I'll give you this. He made some really nice throws on the sideline of the neighbors, some elite throws. But we know he could do that. We know Daniel Jones has ability.
But now he has the talent, so now he's got to prove it.
He can't be throwing pick sixes in his end zone.
In all honesty, that would have been a safety or a pick six.
Yes, but at that point, he should have gotten out of the pocket way quicker. So it's a whole.
I'm sure he got an earful.
Yeah, exactly. So let's go to Patriots Bengals. The reason I want to bring this one up is Jamar Chase is still sitting out of practice. He's holding in, but he's sitting out. I don't think this affects anything.
But holding out.
I don't think this affects anything. Bengals are home. Patriots suck. I'm going to go Bengals. But that's something to watch out for. Does he play week 1? Does he not? I don't know. These wide receivers, man, they're crazy this offseason.
It's good. I'm going to be honest. I don't think the Patriots are going to win more than 2 games this season. Their roster is just non-existent. There's no there's no talent on offense. Ultimately, they got they got Jacoby Brissett back there, which is not your best backup.
Average is best. Yeah, not even the best backup.
Not even a good backup. They're still in the rebuilding stage, so there's not much to expect of this team. Bengals, this is a great opportunity for them to get a good start on the season. Yeah, because
we know the last 2 seasons has been terrible starts for them. So
hopefully they can break that cycle, and this will be a good way to get started.
It will be for sure. So we'll just move on for that. I agree. But Patriots don't really have talent on offense. They did draft some talent in the draft. This guy Polk might be okay. There's something there.
Rebuild stage.
Their defense is always going to be good.
Yes.
It's not. We just know the offense is going to suck.
It's never going to be a blowout, but I don't think they're going to win a lot of games.
No, they won't. So let's move on. Broncos at Seahawks. I'm just going to go out here and be honest. I was very high on Bo Nix with this preseason. He looked very impressive to me.
He did.
I think he might be a dark horse for Rookie of the Year, and that's becoming more and more popular. Just because you see Sean Payton, competent offensive head coach, he had Drew Brees, won a Super Bowl, made the playoffs many years. Bo Nix is like a mobile Drew. Drew Brees was mobile earlier in his career, but he's like a more mobile, more of a playmaker. Drew Brees can move out of the pocket, make throws on the run, quick decision maker, gets the ball out quick. I think the Broncos steal this one in Seattle. Give me Broncos here.
I got the Seahawks. What they still got?
Gino.
They still got Gino back there.
Gino's going out there.
They gave him a contract too, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years.
This is Gino's last season to prove it.
Okay.
This is it. So Gino's going out there. Seahawks are home, the 12th man. Big home field advantage. This is going to
be a good game. I can see a shootout happening here. But I got the Seahawks taking it.
Okay. So I think the Broncos upset them here. I like Bo Nix a lot. We'll see what happens.
They're favoring the Seahawks pretty heavily.
Well, yeah, Seahawks are usually big home field advantage with the 12th man. Look, the wind tunnel there. It's very hard for the away team to hear. Panthers at Saints. I'm going to throw you another one out there. I said the Panthers were going to go 8-9 this season. I thought they were going to bounce back big time.
8-9's crazy.
I like the pieces they added. They had Deontay Johnson. They traded for him. They had Xavier Legette, the receiver in the draft. They put pieces around Bryce Young. They added an offensive head coach in David Canales. So they are adding pieces around Bryce Young to have him succeed this season. I think they had some linemen. So I do think Bryce Young bounces back this season, and I don't trust Derek Carr, and I don't trust Dennis Allen. Everyone's saying the Saints are going to be this good team this year because they got that guy Kubiak's son as the offensive coordinator.
They've had plenty of talent the last 2 years.
I don't trust Derek Carr. And I do think the Panthers are going to be better than people think. I think Bryce Young is better than people think. Is he a top 10 quarterback? No, obviously he will probably never be. But I think he could be top 20 after this season. I do think Bryce Young is that situation where he, like a Trevor Lawrence, where he had a terrible rookie year, we almost kind of count him out, and he bounces back this season. So I think it starts this week, so give me Panthers.
Both these teams are mediocre, and both these quarterbacks are god-awful. And it comes down to what quarterback do I trust more? I trust Derek Carr more. Ultimately, this comes down this is the last year for Bryce Young. He's got to figure it out this year.
This might be the last year for Derek Carr, too.
That's what I'm saying for both of these guys.
This is divisional. This is actually just a huge game here to start the season off, believe it or not.
Derek Carr showed me a little more last year.
I mean, they went 9-8.
Yeah, exactly.
With how much of a shit show it was for the Saints last year, they finished 9-8. Let's not forget that.
But they have a lot of talent.
It was ugly, too. It was ugly. It was so ugly. The offense, it was so ugly.
Exactly. And Alvin Kamara took a huge step back.
I had to pass on him in fantasy this season just because the last 3 seasons, you can't trust him anymore.
You can't. Absolutely not. And, I mean, I don't know. I'm just not crazy about either one of these teams.
I'm not either.
I haven't liked Bryce Young in a while. Like, last year, he just did not look good. Didn't show me any hope. And it really just comes down to this year. Because I don't even think he can be a backup in this league the way he's been playing.
See, you got to remember, he was the first overall pick. If you watch some of his throws in college, the guy can throw the ball. He can sling it. He just needs time and protection. I mean, so does every quarterback. If you're not Mahomes, you're not really going to succeed in this league if you don't have pieces around you. And the guy had nothing. His best receiver was Adam Thielen. He had one of the worst offensive lines in the league. He's undersized. Let's be honest. He's undersized. He's almost like a Tua. And I always say Tua is limited. So he's always going to have limitations. He's probably never going to be above top 15 in the league.
I mean, Russell Wilson did it for a while.
I mean, Russell Wilson was one of the best all time at ad-libbing, and he had one of the best deep balls of all time. It's almost tomato here because Bryce Young's not as mobile as those guys, so he's going to be limited. But he can sling the ball. If you looked at the ESPN player poll that came out recently, they ranked the most underrated guys in the NFL, and Bryce Young was top 5 underrated probably by the players. So the players must think this guy is better than what he did last season. Sometimes, look, even Daniel Jones. Sometimes it's about the talent around you. I'm one to admit that. Sometimes you have terrible coaching, terrible offensive line, and you're a little better than what.
You know what? You got me there. You got me there with the Daniel Jones. That had a little pull for me.
I knew I would. Anyway,
let's get it one more year.
One more year. It was his rookie season. Let's give him one more. Cardinals, Bills. I heard you have a big take for me, Dylan.
I do. This is going to be my upset of the week. I think the Cardinals are going to make a big field day. Kyler Murray looked great going in, coming back from his injury. There's a lot of controversy. We thought they were going to tank and get the pick, but nope. He came in looking like a stud, looking like good old Kyler Murray. And the Bills just lost Stephon Diggs. They don't have a lot of talent on that offense. They got rid of Gabe Davis. So there's a lot of questions going on with this offense and what they are. Yes, they just upgraded their backfield and their secondary, but that takes time to get put together. And I think the Bills start off a little slow this year.
You know I love Kyler Murray. I
know you love Kyler Murray.
I'm a big Kyler Murray fan.
I thought you would like this take.
But I'm not crazy about the Cardinals' defense, although they do have a good defensive head coach. The Bills, they lost a lot of defensive pieces, Jordan Poyer, Trey White.
But they made up for it.
But they have a good defensive head coach in Sean McDermott. Yeah. So I do think
they had a lot of picks for the secondary.
Exactly.
Too.
So I do like, I love Kyler Murray, but I'll take Josh Allen here over Kyler Murray. McDermott's both are good defensive head coaches, but I'll take McDermott as defensive head coach. So rosters aren't crazy far off. Like the Bills roster kind of came off a cliff a little bit. So like the roster's actually pretty comparable.
Their tight ends make up for it, but
right. Their tight ends might be a little spicy this year with Kincaid and Knox, but I'm going to take the Bills.
Knox might be taking a step back too.
I think Kincaid's going to take a bigger role on this year. So I'm going to take the Bills here, just because I'm not crazy about the Cardinals' defense, and I think the Cardinals are maybe a year away from being a playoff team. I think the Cardinals are probably more of 8-9, 7-10. The Bills are more of 9-8. 10-7. So I'll take the Bills here just because of quarterback and coaching advantage, but it will be close. Will agree there. Titans Bears. Caleb Williams, first game as a pro.
Exciting.
They're home. Chicago's home, going against Will Levis and the Titans, who have Will Levis has a lot to prove this season. This is probably going to be his last full ride as quarterback. Well, only full ride as quarterback because he only had half the season last year. They add Tony Pollard, add Calvin Ridley, add Tyler Boyd.
It's basically rookie on rookie right here. I feel like this is the most, with all these great games, this might be the most anticipated game. To see Caleb Williams in action.
I was going to say Titans-Bears, but you mean because it's Caleb Williams.
Yeah, just Caleb Williams alone. He's an exciting player to watch.
He is.
He really is. I'm looking forward to watch that game.
And it's funny because before the draft and everything, you kind of buy into the overrated hype stuff. I'm like, dude, you got to watch this guy play. You gotta watch the guy play. And you saw the preseason. What do you think? The guy can play, man.
And Justin Fields was making this team look good. Throw Caleb Williams back there.
They might be a playoff team.
They might. They got some pieces in there.
So I'm going to be devil's advocate because I have the Bears here too. I got the Bears winning. But let's talk about the Titans real quick. Look at their wide receiver core. DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd. That might be one of the best wide receiver cores in the league.
Will Levis.
Exactly. It really all comes down to Will Levis.
Unproven guy.
Tony Pollard had a down year last year, but if he could replicate 2 years ago, he's a pretty effective back. It all comes down to Will Levis and that defense. Can Will Levis show that he could be the guy? He
had some good games last year,
He
too.
did. He had an impressive game in Pittsburgh. I think you remember watching.
Yes, we were watching that
in main
at
event
the
in
bar.
Farmville.
Yep.
We watched one against Miami that they won, coming back from behind. So he showed he has some talent, but he also the Atlanta game where he threw 4 touchdowns, came off the bench. So he had some big games, but also had a lot of underwhelming games. So he actually was the typical rookie quarterback last year. Growing pains, showing some promise. I don't know. Honestly, he's the one guy I really don't know. To me, I'm more leaning towards I'm out on him. But I haven't really seen enough to judge him. He's a big question mark.
He only played 9 games.
Right, and he's probably the biggest question mark in the league going into the season. What will he be? Could he be elite? I don't know. He's got elite traits. He's got a big arm. He's huge. Yeah. He can move. But it seems like decision making up here, it's like, he tries to play too much hero ball.
It's like the same situation with Anthony Richardson. I just haven't seen enough. He's had some good games, but you need like a full season to see what this guy's got.
And there was more underwhelming than there was probably like 3 good games, and there was like 6 underwhelming ones. So we'll go Bears.
For this one, I saw way more of an electric preseason from the Bears.
And the Bears' offense will probably overwhelm the Titans' defense. Let's be honest. The Titans' defense isn't anything to write home about. So we'll both go Bears here. Raiders at Chargers. This one's kind of tougher, divisional one. I like Jim Harbaugh a lot. I think he's going to bring back a culture to the Chargers.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go Chargers here.
And then we got that other guy, that other coach, the Raiders coach.
Antonio Pierce. He's the Giants linebacker during the Super Bowl runs with Eli, right? Yeah. So Giants crazy. Former linebacker Antonio Pierce.
So, new coaching staff, both very good coaches.
Harbaugh.
The Raiders just haven't done anything in the offseason.
Exactly. And it just seems weird, the whole situation with Devontae Adams on receiver, not being happy. It just doesn't... The whole situation is weird. Jim Harbaugh won at Stanford. He won for the Niners. He won at Michigan, just won a national championship. Mm-hmm. The guy wins everywhere he goes. He's going to come here, Justin Herbert. Everyone's shitting on him that he can't win the big one. I'm not saying they're going to the playoffs this year. They might be a year away. Mm-hmm. But you're going to start to see the Chargers right the ship here. And it starts with week 1. Give me Chargers.
I'm going Chargers here too. There's nothing impressive about the Raiders that really...
If you think about it, they do have some players. Devontae Adams, Max Crosby, Jacoby Myers. They just drafted Brock Bowers, the tight end. There might be some... They are weird because there might be some building blocks to build on in the future, but it's not there right now. So.
No, they got rid of Josh Jacobs. That was a big piece of their offense. Big piece
for sure. Last but not least, Commanders at Bucs.
What
do you got?
I got Bucs here. There's nothing to really... I feel like there's nothing much to talk about here.
Some people think the Commanders might be a sleeper playoff team. I don't think so.
With the Bucs?
The Commanders.
Oh, the Commanders.
Some people think the Commanders might be a sleeper playoff team. I don't think so.
No.
What do you think about the Commanders? Jaden Daniels, the 2nd overall pick. They have new ownership now. New head coach Dan Quinn. How do you feel about that?
It's like the Patriots. They still need time. They're in the rebuild right now. Unless they have a situation like the Texans last year, but I just don't see it.
I do agree. I do think the Commanders are better than the Patriots as far as talent. They got McLaurin. They have some pieces there, but they are a year away from being competitive.
They're definitely better than the Patriots. I'll give you that. They have a lot more talent.
Right.
They still have McLaurin.
Yeah,
they still have a lot of good players on their team.
It's funny because
they got
Robinson
Eckler.
Oh, they got Eckler. I forgot about that. Yeah, Austin Eckler, who had a down year last year, but with Cliff Kingsbury, could probably revive him a little bit, catching passes out of the backfield. I think the Bucs brought everyone back. They brought Mike Evans back, Chris Godwin still there, Rashad White. I would say Rashad White for some reason. They did lose some pieces on defense, but the main core is still there. Baker had a big year last year.
Baker did have a big year.
All he has to do is the same. Look, he doesn't have to be special. He just has to be what he was last year. A solid quarterback that can win you games, and the Bucs could probably win the division.
Another exciting team. I'm excited to see how they pan out and see if Baker keeps it up, because we know Baker usually takes a step back. Right when he starts looking good.
The Browns, when he had his best year, had his worst year following that. And the NFC South is very weird. You have the Bucs, who won the division last year at 9-8.
Mm-hmm.
The Falcons, who everyone thinks are going to win the division this year, adding Kirk Cousins. And then you have the whole Michael Penix shit show. You have the Saints, who were 9-8 last year, that some people think are going to win the division because they're bringing Kubiak's son as the OC. You have the Panthers, who I think I'm the only one that seems like they're high on.
Yeah,
who do you think
honestly,
wins the division in
this
I'm still going to go Bucs.
Could really go either
I'm still
way.
going to go Bucs, but like
I'm going Bucs.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons won it. I would be surprised if the Saints won it. I don't trust Derek Carr.
I really wouldn't be surprised if anybody won it. Maybe besides
I think you'd be a little shocked
but
at the Panthers. You're very low on the Panthers.
But it's very possible with this type of
It seems like
division.
I'm pretty sure like 5-6 teams swap playoff spots every year.
Yeah,
there's always 5 to 6 new playoff teams.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some of the surprises this year. Is it the Commanders? Is it the Panthers? Is it the Jets? Is it Is it the the Bengals will probably be back in the playoffs, so I won't really say them. Is it the I'm trying to think of an NFC team right now. Is it the Giants? No,
yeah, it could be. You know what's weird about this week? All of the 9. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me repeat that. You know what's weird about this week? Only 2 of the away teams are favorited this week. So it's all home teams that are favorited.
I actually
out of the 16 games, 14 of them, all home teams are favored.
You know what's weird about that? When I was going through these games trying to pick them up on the spread, I noticed that too. I'm like, is it because it's week 1? You have a clean slate. You go with the home team as the favorite. You don't really know what's going to happen.
It seems like that's what they're doing.
I guess so. And do you realize last season? So we did these picks last year too. We went 166 and 106. Both of us. We tied 272 games and we tied at 166 and 106. One of us has to fucking win this year. Okay?
Imagine we don't. Imagine we tie again. That would be absolutely absurd.
That would be crazy. What do you think? Should we do some kind of prize or something this year? What was our prize last year? We don't even know because it was a tie. We don't even know because it was a tie.
Maybe a punishment for the loser.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Something.
We'll come up throughout the season. Definitely got to do something though.
So what is the biggest thing that you're excited to see in week 1? What are you looking out for the most?
When I'm looking, like I said before, I'm looking to see Caleb Williams play. I'm excited to see him get play.
Caleb Williams is one of the most exciting prospects to come out since probably Andrew Luck, Trevor. I wouldn't even say Trevor Lawrence, John Elway maybe. My thing, Aaron Rodgers, week 1, coming back from the Achilles injury
you gotta look out
against San Francisco, the powerhouse 49ers. How do the Jets play out? Some people think they're a Super Bowl favorite. Some people don't even think they're a playoff team. How do the Jets pan out against the NFC champion? That's going to be interesting to see for sure. One other thing that's going to be very interesting to see, the Baltimore Ravens. Can they get revenge on the Chiefs? Can they finally get over that hump this season?
Yeah, that's I numbered it like the most important games to me. That's the number 1 for me.
What's number 2?
Number 2 is the Cowboys and Browns.
3?
3 is Rams and Lions.
What do you have the Jets Niners on there?
That's a good question. I don't know. I just only did 3.
I feel like that's such an important game because you got the Niners coming off all the shit shows from the offseason. You got the Jets with Aaron Rodgers coming back.
Yeah.
What are both these teams going to be? You got a lot of drama with both these teams. You got both sides of the coast. You got the West Coast, East Coast. Both of them with tons of drama. I feel like that's set up for some good reality.
You might have swapped it out for me. Who knows?
So, all right, guys. Maybe we'll get back into our... I know we didn't do any bets this week. If we forgot about our parlay stuff.
Yeah. I'd give it a week.
I wasn't crazy about it last year. Maybe we should switch it up a little bit how we do it this year. Maybe instead 5-legger or make it a double. We match it with some Sunday bets. We'll figure it out. Maybe we stick with this 4-leg parlay.
We'll figure it out. We will. We always do.
So, week 1...
in the books.
I can't believe we're finally here, guys. It was a full off season. We're actually over a full year into this podcast, so I'm glad we're here. We're going to our second full season. Just keep supporting us, guys, and we'll be here watching at your house on Thursday, man. Chiefs, Ravens, and
good way to start it.
Good way to start for sure. Thanks, man.
Let's go.
And I will see you guys. Talk about week 2. Thanks.